Okay, welcome back to On the Ball, the podcast from the Vanderbilt Sports and Society Initiative. I'm Andrew Maraniss, and our guest today is Vanderbilt women's lacrosse coach Beth Hewitt. Her program is about to celebrate its 30th anniversary as a sport here at Vandy. Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Yeah, it's good to see you. I see you in the building quite a bit, but great to have you on the program. So 30 years of Vanderbilt lacrosse. You've been here either as head coach or associate head coach for about a third of that time, a little over 10 years. What does 30 years of a program mean to you?
It's kind of wild to even think about that it's been 30 years, and the fact that I've been here for a third of it is even crazier, truthfully. Um, it's just exciting, and it's an exciting time. I think anytime we can celebrate a milestone like that, it just gives us an opportunity as a program to really come together and hopefully get some of our awesome alumni back on campus. And I think sometimes, people are so busy in their own lives, and it really just goes fast, right? Once you graduate and everybody's doing their own thing. And I think sometimes you have a milestone like this, and it allows people to stop and take pause and maybe give themselves the opportunity to come back and see some old friends and celebrate what's happening here on campus. And obviously just such an exciting fall. And we're just really excited to jump into the celebration and get on the field ourselves, because we feel really excited about the team we have here on campus as well.
Yeah, a great team to go along with a great anniversary. I want to come
Absolutely.
back to that, but really want to learn more about your own background in lacrosse. So you come from New York State, Syracuse area. Is it true you didn't start playing lacrosse till ninth grade?
Yeah, so I was always a soccer player. So grew up my entire life, the little 5-year-old playing soccer, and got into the club scene pretty early with that. And for everyone who's a part of that, it's hard to play a lot of other sports pretty seriously. I played basketball as well, but really was pretty focused on soccer. And as I got into high school, obviously Syracuse is a pretty well-known area for lacrosse, and a lot of my friends were getting into it a little bit more extensively. And once high school season came around, as my freshman year approached, I was like, well, I don't want to be the only one not doing this. So, soccer season had come to a close. We did pretty well, and I thought, instead of just training for soccer, I might as well go out for lacrosse. It'll keep me in shape. Seemed pretty fun. I was relatively fast, and I wouldn't have to have a ball at my feet. So I was like, this seems like a good idea. And it was really new to me, unique, and I think I just had an excitement around something that I hadn't done for my entire life. And so I just found myself really drawn to something new and exciting. And it was still relatively new. Men's lacrosse was pretty sophisticated up there. The women's game was still kind of coming along. And so I was fortunate enough to get in with some pretty good coaches, and just really fell in love with the game pretty quickly.
Wow. I mean, Syracuse on the men's side, I've heard people say like Jim Brown was the greatest lacrosse player ever,
Oh yeah.
Um, but I mean, thinking about that area and for you to just sort of step into it in ninth grade and then become one of the best high school players in the country to get recruited to North Carolina. I mean, did your soccer skills really come in handy? How did you pick up the stick handling skills so well?
Yeah, I think so. My family was a hockey family, so I think, I didn't play hockey on a team, but I grew up on a pond every day. We played pond hockey, 7 days a week. And so a lot of the stick work, hand-eye coordination, I felt like translated to the lacrosse field, specifically with the ground ball work and things like that. And then again, the speed definitely helps. But my position was midfield, so I felt like, I enjoyed the fast paced part of the game there. But again, I think it was one of those things that, as much as the men's game was so prevalent in the area, and Syracuse lacrosse was everything, right, with the Gates and then the Powells coming along, but the women's game was still just kind of building, and even the Syracuse women's team had just kind of jumped onto the scene. So we were still growing the game a bit at that point. So I felt like I came into an opportunity where I still, you know, I'm not sure I could pick up a stick in ninth grade now and go to UNC. That would be a little bit challenging. So I think time and place were definitely right. Um, I was lucky too. My best friend and I grew up playing soccer together, and she was at my rival high school. And she had actually gone to UNC the year ahead of me. So my coach, Jenny, had, tried to get into the Syracuse area and started doing some camps in the area. And so was, going to those, and we built a relationship. And yeah, she liked her Syracuse kids, and
Mhm.
we knew how to play in the cold weather, and I think she liked that about us. But um, yeah, I think she's always really liked the athletes, and especially the soccer players. I think there are a lot of skills that translate to the field of lacrosse.
Okay. Um, Come back to your college days, but just thinking about even the women's game not being that fully developed when you were in high school in an area where lacrosse is really popular. Thinking about the 30th anniversary here, like so 1996, Vanderbilt launching a women's lacrosse program isn't necessarily like too late in the game. Would you say that's the case?
Definitely not. No, I think the timing was great. I think the biggest challenge we have in this area is just we're trying to get more schools to add it. We would love, obviously, the SEC at this point. It's just us and Florida that are the only two schools that sponsor it. But we would love some of the other SEC schools to jump on board, and I think they have great club programs right now. And we've heard rumblings, but at this point the Southeast really hasn't completely bought into the college game, which I think is unfortunate because I really do think it is the fastest growing sport in the country at this point, specifically at the youth level. And then I really feel like as you see it added into the Olympics, that's going to change a lot of things because as soon as people get the opportunity to see our game and see how fast and exciting it is, I mean, everyone loves a lot of goals scored, right? Like
Mhm.
you don't sit there and you're not bored, right? So I think just getting people to see the game, have an opportunity to understand it, that's really, I think, part of what our 30th anniversary is going to be all about is obviously getting some eyes on our game, but also just trying to educate people because a lot of times when they do see it, they don't totally understand what's going on, and we want to make sure they have a better understanding of our rules and regulations.
Okay. Yeah, and you mentioned lacrosse will be in the 2028 Olympics. We'll talk a bit about that. So back to your North Carolina days. I mean, stepping into a storied program like that, becoming an All-American, competing in the Final Four. Um, when you think about that now, like what were the experiences you had as a D1 athlete that have propelled you to your coaching career?
I actually think there's a lot of parallels between who I was as a player and how I try to lead my programs. I came into UNC. I always considered myself a bit of an underdog because I started so late, and so I try to be the grittiest, be the hardest working, be kind of the always have that chip on my shoulder. Um, and even if I found success, it's like that's kind of how I have to carry myself, and I feel like that's the mentality I want to have for our team as well. Let everybody else doubt us, but we're gonna outwork you, kind of thing. And I feel like we've really done a good job of that, specifically this year. And I really felt like going into this year, we needed to kind of like reset and reshape who we are. And, we have some core values of trust, discipline, and grit. And I felt like the grittiness is really what we had to, to instill this fall and just, compete in everything that we do and just really love the game and love being out here and love the grind. And, I just think they've done an incredible job of that this fall. But I think it really does start in the work on the practice field. And so, even as a player, you have to love what you do. And that's what I'm trying to instill in our players right now. It's not about the wins and the losses. Like that's going to come, that's going to be a byproduct of everything else that you're doing. But we need to love being together. We need to love the sport of lacrosse. And it's our job as coaches to make sure we get those right pieces of the puzzle here. But, um, we're really working to just to build a love of the game and, hate losing.
Right. And so then early in your coaching career, you helped launch a program at Oregon. You were a really young head coach at Lemoyne. Um, what were the most significant takeaways from those two experiences in building your career?
It, Building a program teaches you a lot. You're really, obviously, I was fortunate enough to work with someone. My assistant coach at UNC went out to start the program at Oregon. So I had a really great relationship with her. She was my defensive coordinator. Um, and so just gave me a lot of responsibility because of our trusting relationship. And so I learned a lot under her. And then, as I transitioned from Oregon to being a super young head coach, I had really had my hand in pretty much every aspect of the program at that point. And so, um, getting to Lemoyne, I was doing a lot on my own because it's a smaller Division I program that eventually transitioned to Division II. Um, and you don't have all the assistants. You might have a grad assistant or a part-time assistant. And so at that point, I thought it was really good for my career because I really had to do everything on my own. And so my fingerprints were kind of all over that program. Um, and I learned a lot. I learned things that, you know, I probably needed to do as a young coach. You're actually sometimes a little bit harder, I would say, because you're so close in age to the players. Um, Sometimes probably too hard. You
Mhm.
gotta build those relationships probably a little bit better. I've always been someone who wants to be a mentor and help my players be someone that they can come to and work through their problems with. But it's hard when you're only a few years older than them. And I think as you get older, it's easier to build that rapport when now I'm more of like a mom to them versus kind of a sister sort of thing.
Mhm.
But as I get here, I think you just have more of a confidence in who you actually are as a coach and what your vision is. And I think that's something that we've done a really nice job here at Vanderbilt and starting from the top with Candace in terms of vision setting and mission setting. And she really helps us kind of just get outside of our own program, but think bigger. And, thinking about kind of being the CEO of our program and where do we want to take this program. And I really feel strongly that the experiences that I've had at Oregon and Lemoyne have helped me grow into the coach that I want to be. But there's always going to be like there's ups and downs in coaching, right? Every season, it's not a linear job. We'd love to be on
Mhm.
this trajectory where you're just getting to a point and you just win national championships ad nauseum. But it's there's good years and bad, and there's things that you have to overcome. And what if I think one of the things that I do is I try to rebuild. And when you have a tough year, that you have to take a look at what's going well and what you need to revamp. And I feel like we're at a place right now where we're getting some recruits that are pretty remarkable recruits. And I wanted to take a look at this year and like what do we need to do differently and how do we need to get better. And going back to my statement about the grittiness, I just felt like we had the type of players that now we kind of got to compete and get after each other from the first day that we step on the field in September and really bring it. And, I had AT, our track coach, kind of laughing with me the other day, like, geez, when do you guys play? I'm like, oh, we play in the spring. And she's like, you're competing like you're going after it in the fall. And I was like, well, that's the goal. Now I just got to keep it to the spring, right? Like
Yeah.
we can't just do it in the fall and not do it in the spring. But I appreciated it that she mentioned that because that was a goal of ours as an internal unit, and so now it's just something that we have to carry through the spring.
Okay. So thinking when you, in the context of this 30th anniversary, when you decided to come to Vanderbilt as an assistant coach, um, was that a tough decision at all, coming to an area of the country maybe where lacrosse wasn't as developed? Like what were your impressions of the state of the program, the history of the program, and like why you felt like it was a good move for you to come here?
So I had been at Lemoyne about 5 years. I'd been in the Final Four a couple of years. I can't remember. And I was like, man, I'm just like not getting over this hurdle to win it. And it's, as coaches were like, what's wrong with me? What do I need to fix? How do I need to, what do I need to do? And it was twofold. I wanted to take a look at, do I need to learn more because I was such a young head coach? And then the other piece being, I thought I was ready to get back into Division 1 coaching. So I loved the Division 2 um, competition. I loved what I was doing. I loved being back in Syracuse, but I did think I was ready for a change, and had the opportunity to come down here and work for Kathy Sweezy, who I had known for a long time. And I just felt like I needed more experience, and especially because I was on the North Carolina kind of track of went to UNC, worked for my assistant coach, and then went off kind of on my own. I just didn't have a ton of experience with anyone else. So I thought this could be a good opportunity. Um, and it was. And just, yes, it was hard to not be able to recruit in your backyard. That was a big change for me. But on the other hand, I had that experience in Syracuse where I could go to any high school game, find all the kids I needed. So it was like, okay, this is a new challenge for me, right? Now it's you're going to be able to go get a couple kids from Nashville, but you're not going to go fill your entire roster right now with Nashville kids. Now I think that's changing a little bit. We're starting to get some homegrown kids that are really, really good. But again, I always like a challenge, and I like to try to figure out new things. And I also was really drawn to the city of Nashville. The city of Nashville is a place I've always really liked. We played here every other year, so I spent a little bit of time here. And then obviously the school. I'm like, this is a great school for the sport of lacrosse. I think it draws lacrosse players and families here. And I think it's a place you can win. And for me, I'm not going to make a move out of a place I'm already finding success and doing really great things to just jump ship and go anywhere. I felt really strongly that this was a place we could win.
Hmm. So you mentioned when you came, there weren't that many Vanderbilt caliber players in high school in the area, and so recruiting in traditional lacrosse hotbeds of the Mid Atlantic or the Northeast, and that's something that we've talked about a bit in the past. If you're really interested in the overall growth of the sport. You mentioned that lacrosse is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing team sport in the country right now. Um, like beyond your own team, how much do you think about that? And like, how important is it that this game does sort of expand beyond the traditional boundaries that it's had in the past?
It's really important to us. I think it's something that it, I would love for the city of Nashville to love the sport of lacrosse as much as we do. And I think you see it growing a lot more from the 10 years I've been here. It's night and day. I just think we've had some really awesome lacrosse players move their families here, start their lives here. And also a lot of our alumni are in the area and really focused on being a part of the lacrosse community. And that really is the key, because there's a ton of people that love the sport, but may not have had the ability to coach it or learn it and be able to teach their own children. And that's the key, is like, we've got to get people in the area that understand the game and can teach it and are willing to, right? I mean, we're all busy. Like, we all want to coach our kids sports. And then sometimes it's like, I don't have the time, right? But we have some really awesome people coaching the sport in Nashville right now. My son is a youth lacrosse player right now, and Joel White is his coach, and he's running a club in the area. He's a Syracuse lacrosse player. He's doing some awesome things on the guys end of things here. And Corey Donahoe's another UNC player that's in the area. She's doing a ton of things here as well. So it's just, there are some really great people moving here and focusing on kind of the grassroots piece of it. When we love doing camps, we want to do camps for our recruits. We want to do camps for some of the younger guys, and we also have a job to run a program. So we only have so much time that we can dedicate to it. But if all of us can partner in putting sticks in younger guys' hands and just giving them opportunities, I think that's the key, is just opportunity. And there's times when we get the opportunity to do some volunteer work and go into schools and literally, just hand a kid a stick who's never even seen one before. It's pretty awesome. And, it's, just not something that everyone has had the chance to try. And so most of the time, if people try it once, they get addicted.
Yeah. So this is a sport. I mean, it's probably the oldest. I think I read it was the oldest team sport, in North America, played by
Yep.
indigenous people hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. And yet this will be the first time it's been in the Olympics as a medal sport, right? At least for women
Yep.
coming up in 2028, um, which is really exciting. I'm sure will really help the sport grow. It's a slightly different style of lacrosse than we're used to seeing here at Vandy.
Yep.
For those who aren't familiar, can you talk about the sixes format and what's appealing about it?
Sure. It's obviously with the Olympics, they're always trying to just uh, change up the each sport a little bit, just tweak it a bit to make it fit an Olympic format a bit better. For us, our typical game is a 12 on 12, which is a little bit more challenging to get into the Olympic matches. So we went with a sixes version. So what's pretty unique about this is it's going to be even faster than our normal game. So you think it's a high scoring game when you come to one of our matches that are like 18-20. It's probably going to be even more than that. And so the nice part about it is not going to be a ton of differences. You're still going to have the same idea in terms of like seeing you're still attackers and defenders and things like that, goalie, all that. No one's wearing equipment or anything different that you don't see in our normal game. It's just really a limit on the number of people that are on the field. And then there's some tweaks where when we miss the cage, instead of typically in our game we chase it and whoever's closer gets the ball, now it's like an immediately like turnover of possession to the other team. So just things to kind of keep it moving a bit faster. I think people are going to really enjoy this version though, and it's going to be really fun to watch.
Awesome. Did you ever play this style? And like, are lacrosse traditionalists like having to be won over, or is everybody on board for this?
Every room is going to be torn on everything, of course. We've played it. We'll play it at practice here and there, just a lot of it, kind of like a drill, just to play a fast paced version of our own game. I think in a perfect world, you always want our game to be put in the Olympics exactly how we play it. Um, we don't want to change our game in college because it would limit opportunities for women coming
Mhm.
into the university. But I'm like, we're in the Olympics, right? So for me, this is just such an awesome opportunity for some of our young guys leaving college to be Olympic medalists. And for us, we have a couple of players that have been on Team Canada, and I think some kids, truthfully, that'll really compete for Team USA and be in some of those tryout pools. And it's just an incredibly awesome opportunity. And really super excited too that it's going to be in LA for the first time when we showcase our
Mhm.
sport. So just an exciting time for all of us, I think.
Yeah. So obviously an exciting time in the lacrosse world. It's an exciting time at Vanderbilt where it seems like all of our teams are really hitting on all cylinders right now. Candace doing an amazing job as athletic director. Like, how does that spill over from team to team and like the success on the football field and just the media attention that Vanderbilt's been getting over the last few months carry over to your sport? What's it like for you to be coaching here? When you think about the 30 years, this is probably like the most momentum we've ever had as an athletic department within those 30 years. What does that mean to you?
It all matters so much. Any of us having success and then to have it, multiple teams in one season, it's huge. I mean, we were talking offline beforehand with the camp that we just had, and we bumped it a week closer to Christmas, which could typically be a nightmare, right? And I really felt like our numbers were up by 40, 50 kids, and I think that's a direct result of the success that was had on the field in the fall with the fall sports. And just think it's a total credit to not only the coaches of all the fall sports, but what Candace is doing here. And I really am am proud of the work that everyone's putting in, because we know behind closed doors, every one of us is working our butts off to be successful in our own right. But we just care a lot about each other, and we care a lot about this place. And we believe wholeheartedly in what Candace is trying to produce, and the way she's trying to do it. And it's just nice that everybody else is seeing what's happening kind of behind the curtain now. You know,
Hmm.
we believe this was a possibility, and we know that it's going to continue to be a winning culture. It's just nice that the rest of the world sees it too.
Yeah. So I know a big part of your coaching philosophy is thinking about your players' lives after college, and
Mm-hmm.
preparing them for whatever comes next. Sure, that was the case with Kathy and with Wendy before. When you think about the 30-year history of the program, are there some examples of women who have gone on to do interesting things that come to mind? I'm sure you're so proud of many of your alumni, and you can't name them all, but what could we learn about some of the players that have been here, and what this opportunity to play lacrosse at Vanderbilt meant for them, and how it propelled them in the rest of their life?
It's honestly incredible what some of the women have done coming out of our program. And it's funny because, you know, we joke like they're so good in the classroom. You know, I think the one semester, a couple semesters ago, they had a 3.8 collectively. And I'm like, geez, guys, let's get the 3.8 in the classroom and on the field, huh? You know, like
Yeah.
let's do both of that. But um no, it's just incredible how they're able to balance everything, because we ask a lot of them. I mean, 20 hours a week in season, in their non-championship season, is a lot of time. And then they're still able to leave with degrees, you know, on track to go to med school, to go to law school, to get into commercial real estate, to maybe, you know, transition to nursing school. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And you know, I don't even know where to go with who to name, because I feel like it would be unfair to some of them,
Right.
truthfully. But it's funny. I remember going to college myself, and you have this narrative that I'm going to go to college and I'm going to, you know, make all of this money as soon as I get out of college, right? And then you kind of graduate college and you're like, oh wait, that's not what happens. And I kind of disagree here, genuinely. These guys leave, and some of the opportunities that they're given in consulting firms, and um, it's pretty crazy. I'm like, they're like flying around the country and telling these people what they need to fix about their organizations. I'm like, wow, guys, like, okay, you guys are a pretty big deal, huh?
Yeah.
But they're wildly successful, and I think the reason being is the education here. It's pretty rigorous, right? And the balance of what they have to do in the classroom and then what they're doing on the field. I think these recruiters that come in, they recognize that the student athletes have to balance so much, and to see them be successful on the field, be all Americans on the field, and then have the the you know, the grades that they have. It's like, why wouldn't you hire them? You know,
Mhm.
um, it's awesome. And I'm really proud of the people that they become. And then again, to bring it back to the 30th anniversary, it's pretty cool to see how many of them want to be involved. And it doesn't hurt, obviously, with the fall that Vanderbilt has had, and the success with the football team and the soccer team, and the start of volleyball, and that all of that has been so exciting. And then the fact that it's our 30th anniversary, it's just been this amazing, like, combination of excitement around our school, and our program has seen it firsthand. We've heard from so many of the alumni, just like, can't wait to get back and can't wait to see everybody. And oh man, we heard the facilities look so great and can't wait to tour those. And um, just people wanting to say they're a part of Vanderbilt. And I think it's been a long time since you've been, you know, always so proud to wear the name, but now it's proud to wear the sport too.
Hmm. So maybe for those former athletes who haven't been paying attention to the communications, what's going to be happening to celebrate the 30th anniversary? Is it one big reunion for everybody, many events over the course of the year. I know you've got a special logo this year, but how will you
Yeah.
celebrate the anniversary this season?
So the biggest weekend is going to be around our March 28th game. So we have a Saturday game. So the coolest part of it, I think, on Friday for those people who are able to get in early enough, we're kind of going to do like an old school pasta dinner with the team. So taking you back to like a pregame meal,
Mhm.
but just an opportunity to engage with the current athletes because I think a lot of times we run some of these events for alumni and they get to interact and be with us and maybe even some of the parents, but a lot of times they want to meet the current players, right? They want to see the people that they see on Instagram or on the videos and on the games. And so we thought it'd be kind of cool to allow people to come to practice, see a pregame practice if they wanted to, do a nice dinner at one of our new venues and really engage with the girls. And then, the next day we'll have our game, hopefully have a great win that day, and then a big celebration that night that really just kind of tops off the 30th anniversary. Where again, that's everyone who touches our program and has touched our program or just wants to be a part of something special is invited to celebrate. And so I don't even think that's just lacrosse, just celebration of Vanderbilt athletics in general.
That's awesome. Well, I see the family sign behind you. This is your lacrosse family will be back in
Yep.
big numbers this season for the 30th anniversary. So, Beth, congratulations on 30 years of Vanderbilt lacrosse, and thank you again for joining the show. If people are interested in supporting the program, like maybe somebody's watching this who's never been to one of our games before, is interested in learning more about the sport, what's the best way for new fans to get connected to your program?
I mean, the best way is checking out our website. I would say, I mean, we have, obviously links to all of our camps and all of our contact information on uh, our website would probably be the easiest. And you'll start to
Mhm.
see some more of our events that come up, especially as we're trying to get out there with some of the younger guys and just trying to do some more of the grassroots stuff too when we have the ability, sometimes after our home events too. We'll do some free clinics. So keep your eyes out for that as well, because that's a great way to engage with the current student athletes as well. And in my opinion, they're some of the best out there. So really good human beings and great chance to meet them as well.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, your program is very accessible. The games are free.
Yep.
People have been to a soccer game. It's the soccer lacrosse field behind McGugin where you play. But again, th congrats on 30 years. I'm looking forward to all the celebration this year, and best of luck this season.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care.